Buddy, how are y'all doing? My name is Mike Dewan here at the Region Sports Network. Back here for another 100-yard walk, this time here at South Central. I'm here with the Satellites head football coach, Steve Forker. Steve, what's going on?
Not much, sir. How you doing?
It,
Appreciate you guys coming out.
no problem. Thanks for. It's great to be here. Right? It's in a, kind of that point of the season, Coach, where we're starting right back up after moratorium week. We're getting getting ready to go. I know you got practice not too long after this.
Absolutely.
We'll start. What was kind of the summer like for you? Previous to moratorium week, and what are you kind of excited for now in the second?
Yeah, obviously took over the position here in March. So we had spring ball out here, which they've never done out here at South Central. So it's kind of introducing that right to the football community out here. So had some good interest, obviously, dealing with some numbers in the spring here, playing baseball, running track, doing a few things. But when we were able to, obviously we had decent numbers for that. And then obviously set the summer schedule early, right? Kind of set the tone. I think it was important for us to say, hey, this is something we're working on, we're building, looking to build a competitive program. And these are the things that we have to do.
Sure.
Right. These are things we have to do to be competitive. So again, we've had, I think, a great June, right? We've been doing a couple of days a week through June, and then obviously took a moratorium week off. And then, and now we're, getting back to it this week. So.
Yeah, it's and we'll kind of start here a little bit with you as well, right? You were on the staff as kind of an assistant. Now entering this year, you are now a first-year head coach with the Satellites.
Yeah.
What was that process like of now jumping from the assistant role to the head coach role? And again, I guess community now.
Yeah.
Your name.
Absolutely, right. It's I think it's just a natural transition. I think obviously to go from assistant coach to a head coach. Again, it's not really. I would say it wasn't my first transition into the job there. Previously did it when I was up in New Buffalo early in my coaching career. And as a longtime assistant there to my former head coach Ron Hart,
Sure.
and then stepping into a head coaching role there for 4 years. So again, it's an easy transition, I think, for me. In many roles I've been, right, position coach, right,
Sure.
offensively and defensively, coordinator both offensively and defensively. So I think just obviously, right, the progression for me is head coach, right. So again, so excited about it. Bring, I think, some excitement and some life, back here to South Central, and again, we're it's a great community to do that.
Yeah.
So I think a hardworking community, right? And I think that just fits into our philosophy and what we want for players.
And you said you want to kind of bring the excitement back. Yes, last year was kind of a tough one, but it's one of those years where it kind of builds character, and you kind of you see kind of what your guys have. What's that dynamic like? We're kind of again trying to build back some excitement and just bringing kids back out here. That's like, okay, hey, this is a new season. Let's gear up and let's have some fun.
Well, yeah, absolutely. Obviously 2 years, right? We've been into the HNAC, right? So we're competing, with Pioneer, right? North
Sure.
Judson the last 2 years. Both of those have been conference champions, and both of them have played on Thanksgiving. Right. So, it's tough, and those expectations to compete in that conference have brought, I think, to me, different expectations at South Central.
Sure.
Right. Again, we haven't had it's last 2 years, but I think right now all right, we need to catch up with that curve. Right. And now it's putting in that extra work that we have and that we continue to do in the spring and throughout the summer to get us to that level.
Sure, no doubt about it. Coach, a little bit about you, right? Outside, of course, what happens on the football field. I guess you could tell the viewers what you do.
Yeah, my full-time job,
Yeah,
I guess, right? The one that pays the bills. This is this is a great hobby of mine,
Sure.
essentially. I'm chief of police at Michigan City Police Department.
So how does that kind of intertwine with, again, you've been in kind of the police department.
Yep.
I saw you've been doing this for quite some
Yep.
time. Even, your family was kind of big into kind of that upbringing, and you've been in football as well for 20 plus years. What are kind of, how does one thing help the other, and how does maybe one challenge here, I guess the challenges and the benefits of kind of being kind of these two fields here.
Obviously, right. I think, obviously when you look at a police department, right, we're kind of a paramilitary organization, right? We have our rank and our structure. And, I think that's something obviously similar here, right? When we talk about head coach, coordinator, position coach,
Yeah.
players, right? And, I think at least for a lot for me is a lot of planning, right? Obviously being, chief of police, there's a lot of things that go on, right? Our budget, our personnel, all kinds of different special events that we have to coordinate and whatnot. It's more or less, we have a lot of people in positions at the police department that help take care of a lot of those things. And, again, it's ultimately my job to help orchestrate. right? And make sure those things are running smooth and the people are in the right places and they have the things they need. So I think again, when I roll that back down to the head coaching job, it's the same thing, right? We have great coaches here. So I believe I've assembled a great staff, that's committed to the kids, right? And the kids see that commitment and they're eager and willing to learn as well. And, again, it's just about me orchestrating it, right? Getting all the people in the right positions, get the people in the place, right? And so when we get here on Friday nights, we can start, playing the band,
That's
right?
it,
Right.
that's it.
Getting those things put together,
Sure.
all the timing has to come together.
Right.
Right. So again, it's just, about managing, right? Managing people. And again, throughout my career at the police department, I've done several different things, that have put me in the position in which I am now.
Sure.
So learning some of those things, the good, the bad, right? You learn from everybody, some way, shape or form. And now it's, how can I help translate that stuff to football?
I saw as well too, and I kind of want to ask about this because definitely it tells a little bit about your character, Coach, about the position you're currently in now. You didn't even apply for the job; you were kind of technically recommended, and you offered the position of chief of police.
Right. So again, when I go back to essentially it was the end of 2023, I was appointed as chief of police. And again, it was a job that I never even applied for. Right, I never submitted a formal application for it. Right, I received a phone call at the time from Mayor Perry and was like, "Hey, apparently you're the guy I need to talk to." So, again, I think that speaks something of me, right? One way, shape, or form. I don't want but I like to think, all right, I'm a leader of the people, right?
Yeah.
I want to be involved, and I want to be, I remember where I came from.
Sure.
That's important to me.
Now, as we we'll probably kind of hit the logo here. We know there's going to be some lines pointed on the field, but the logo is an important time in all 100-yard walks, Coach.
100%.
And what does it mean to kind of be a South Central satellite, this kind of chapter in your football career as now kind of the head coach of this football team?
Again, this is someplace that, right, we wanted, my son to be a part of, of South Central, right? We think about, I think of a small community, right, that truly cares about their young people.
Sure.
Right, small school environment, everybody knows your name, right, and or will hold you accountable, right? I think that's important, and especially in these young people today with all the distractions that they do have going on in their lives, right? I think it's important, right, that they have adults that are helping guiding them in all facets of life, right? Not just on the football field, but in school and everything in between. So, I think it's important to be a part of that. Again, South Central is that type of community, right? I think, there's a number of teachers in there that will hold my son and all of our players, right, accountable for anything and everything. But again, I think it's important too that we hold them accountable out here.
Sure.
Again, that's a community in which I want to be a part of, because that's what I want for my kids and my players.
Yeah.
Get Pulse Technology on your team. Hit a home run with our managed print and copier services, IT and technology solutions, office furniture and design services, office supplies, scoreboards, and AV solutions.
Strack & Van Til for the win with 4 ways to save. Catch price drops on over 15,000 items and check the weekly ad for can't miss deals. Stack on the rewards program for digital coupons, points toward discounts and free products, and power up with our own brands. Keep your budget in the safety zone. Get the same great taste as national labels at lower prices. If you can't taste the difference, why pay the difference? Score big value with 4 ways to save at Strack & Van Til.
Hi, I'm Crowell Company's Lantern Man. If you're a contractor, it's my job to make your insurance coverage simple and affordable. Because I know time is money, I'll come to your business. Certificates and bonds are a snap. Wherever you are, whatever business you're in, we've got you covered. As Crowell Company's Lantern Man, I'm your insurance superhero.
Crowell Company's Insurance Professionals, Highland, Merrillville, and Michigan City.
Thinking about what to do after high school? Consider a career with Boilermakers Local 374. As a Boilermaker apprentice, you'll earn while you learn. We offer excellent wages and benefits, and as part of our no-cost hands-on apprenticeship program, you'll learn from the best in state-of-the-art training centers and on the job. Become a union Boilermaker and get on your way to a great career. Find out more, visit www.local374.org or call 219-845-1000.
as we kind of snowball into 2026, and we kind of talked about those early parts of the summer, but are there any maybe players or position groups that maybe have stuck out to you that maybe willing to kind of lean on come the fall?
Yeah, I think up front, right? Again, may not show it productivity wise, but up front we will have several year starters now, right? So we've had some kids that have taken some lumps and bumps and bruises the last couple of years, but they've got playing experience, right? They're starting to understand the speed of the game, right? Expectations, assignments, right? I think that's a big one for us is understanding our assignments and whatnot. But again, leaning up front, we have Jacob Saunders, right? He'll be a senior this year. He's going to be into his 4th year starting at center. 2-year starter. This will be his 3rd year as Cooper Nealon at guard, and then Mark Clancy again will be a 2-year starter at right tackle. So again, we're relying on those guys now that have been there and done that. Another up and coming one, we have Jackson Arnett. He'll be filling in moving over to running back, more position this year. Played slot for us last year as a freshman. Leading receiver. I think overall, all-purpose yards was right around 800. So again, we're looking for him to be more of an impact player at running back this year. And again, we have some other players, right, that saw significant playing time on defense last year. Was Carson Pierre, played a lot of corner and safety for us last year. He'll be playing some more offensive positions this year at slot and receiver. Trying to think of a few others that we have. New addition this year is Raymond Rinker. We're expecting him to play some wide receiver, multi-sport athlete. Excited to have him out here. So
awesome. Yeah. Schematically, Coach, we talked about kind of what your cultural values are, of course, what you tie in, of course, when your everyday life, as well as your experience as a former football player and now turned coach. What about we go to the schematics? What could we maybe expect the satellite team to kind of hang their head on under your watch?
Yeah, absolutely. We're a spread option. I love to spread the field and take advantage of what the defense gives us. Right, we want to try to make the defense defend all areas of the field, and again make them do so effectively, and again take advantage of what they're doing. Obviously, we'll use some formations, some motions, and whatnot. But again, we want to make the defense defend the whole field, not just some particular part. And then defensively, right, we'll be a 4-3 scheme, too high, and have the ability to roll our safety down into the box and. Play some of the triple option teams that we will see week in and week out. We got to have the players and assigned and aligned properly, to accommodate that stuff. So.
What about for the rest of the summer, Coach? Do you guys have any camps or scrimmages kind of lined up to prepare you guys for the fall?
Yeah, absolutely. Right. Have a scrimmage actually coming back. So we're going to take next week off. So we're back for a week this week. We got next week off. We got fair around here, right? Obviously important to this community, right? Big 4-H community around here. So we're off again next week. But when we come back from that, we got scrimmage lined up. We're going over to Lake Station, right? I believe we're going to have Whiting and I think Gary Westside. And I thought there was one more going to be over there for that. And then Thursday of that week, we have Tri-County is coming up as well. So again, for me, it's been important to get my kids out of their comfort zone, right, and do some things maybe we traditionally haven't done, right, so that way we're prepared for week one, right? We're not, again, in the past we've kind of going to week one, and now maybe by week 3 we're getting up to speed. Well, hopefully we won't hit the ground running, so it's important for us to get some of those. Those game-like situations, right? Going to a thud, seeing a little bit of speed of the game against a full 11-on-11 against us. So that'll help us get prepared going into week one.
We did it a bit earlier. We talked about, again, the conference you guys play and competition. But I guess our final question before the Red Zone, what can you say kind of about that schedule heading into 2026?
Yeah, I mean, it's a grind for us, right? Obviously we picked up Wheeler week 1, which is obviously bigger, good program there. Boone Grove, I would say that's a good that's got to be a rival game for us, right? The only PCC schools, right, still playing football. So again, and then we roll right into Judson and right through the grinder, right? So again, we want to be prepared for that stuff week 1, so that way we can be up to speed by week 3, right? When we start seeing Judson and the rest of the conference, coming into town. So again, we're hoping to be in a much better position going into conference play before we even get there.
IBEW Local 697 isn't just wiring buildings. We're woven into the very fabric of Northwest Indiana. We're your neighbors. Our kids go to school with yours. We stand in the same bleachers cheering for the same high school teams. When you hire a union electrician, you're not just getting the highest quality work, you're supporting our community. IBEW Local 697, proudly powering our own.
Four Seasons Mechanical proudly serves Northwest Indiana, providing quality, reasonably priced, reliable service. With a quality and comfort guarantee, the professionals at Four Seasons Mechanical offer a wide range of services in heating, ventilation, and air conditioning. Whether it's residential or commercial, Four Seasons Mechanical is there 24/7. To find out more, the website is fourseasonsmechanical.com or give them a call at 219-756-7020. Four Seasons Mechanical, your indoor air quality specialists.
Earn while you learn from the best hands in the business. The Bricklayers Allied Craft Workers for Indiana, Kentucky Apprenticeship. That's right, this is a paid apprenticeship.
I'm getting an education while learning a trade and getting paid for it.
The thing that surprised me the most about this apprenticeship program is the respect I've received after the proper time and training.
Classes start soon, so apply now. There are training centers throughout Indiana and Kentucky. We are the Bricklayers and Allied Craft Workers for Indiana, Kentucky Apprenticeship. The best hands in the business.
All right, we got to know more about you, Coach. This is what the red zone is for. So we're gonna have some quick hitters here. Any football mentors that stick out to you that are worth a shout out here today?
So obviously, right, I would be hard if I didn't recognize my head coach in high school, Ron Hart, right, again, up in New Buffalo, again, coached me obviously throughout my high school career, and then also, right, invited me to come back and join his staff for, I think, 8 years or 9 years. I coached alongside with him, so that was obviously, near and dear to my heart. Along with him was Donnie Thomas, who's a Michigan City legend, right? Went to IU, played in the NFL. He coached me in high school in football and in basketball, but then again, got to coach alongside him early in my coaching career. So those two were great mentors for me, and teaching me, about more than football.
Sure.
Right? So life-changing stuff there for them.
What's your favorite football team, professional and or college?
Well, you got to go Bears, right? Yeah. I mean, we're region guys.
That's right. That's
right. So again, people talk India. Oh, you're closer. No, we're from the region, right? We're Bears fans, and then college-wise, I'm an Irish guy.
All right. So, good man.
Yeah,
good man.
Yeah,
awesome.
Absolutely.
What about favorite football players, maybe from your childhood growing up, that you wanted to idolize?
Well, again, I probably blame my brother a little bit. My oldest brother was a big Bo Jackson fan, right? So I would say I kind of followed that suit, right? Growing up and seeing Bo Jackson play, right, and doing the football and the baseball was tremendous, right? I just remember the book, right? Bo Notes. Bo, he had the bat on his shoulder pads and whatnot, and again, that was obviously somebody to look to, and when I was growing up.
Is there a piece of advice, Coach, that still sticks with you today, whether you heard that maybe in your professional life or here on the football field? What's something that you live by here today?
Well, again, I'll lean on my former head coach, Ron Hart, right? He always used to say, right, and I guess I didn't understand it as a kid growing up, but, only you can prevent forest fires, right? And you think of Smokey the Bear and whatnot, but, now when I kind of look back on it, it's like, all right, well, what's a forest fire? A forest fire, right, is something big, right? It's huge and it's tough to put out, right? But, what got it there, right? Maybe just a little spark, right? Or a little ash, right? Or something from a small fire that if that had been dealt with, if the small problem had been dealt with early, it wouldn't have led to that forest fire, right? So again, this is something to kind of think about, right? If we can deal with things when they're small and, prevent them from getting big, then we don't ever have to deal with them.
That's a very good perspective.
So again, if we can just deal with the small things, do the little things right, again, we talk about how that may relate to football, right? We, you eliminate our own self-inflicted mistakes, right? You eliminate the small penalties, control the things that we can control, then we can eliminate some of the bigger problems that come when we don't.
And I just thought it was an ad for forest fires too.
Right.
So that is so much more perspective.
It's something, again, he said to us early, and I still have I have it framed and put in my office today.
What about a favorite sports movie?
Gotta go Remember the Titans.
Good one.
Good classic.
Good one. What about, do you have any superstitions you have to do before a football game? Either maybe one as a player back then or something that still kind of happens today?
You know, I think I'm past all that. You know, I think back in the day, you know, I probably shouldn't say, you know, some of the, you know, whether I wore the same underwear every game, I don't remember, you know, but
It's a safe place here.
yeah, right. You know, again, you know, I think just preparing, you know, myself and or the kids, you know, the players, you know, the best we can helps eliminate some of that stuff and helps them, you know, think they don't have to do those things.
All right, final question, Coach, as we cross the goal line again, just any final thoughts, just kind of the expectations, I guess, of this 2026 South Central Satellite Squad?
You know, again, setting those expectations, right? You know, again, I can consistently ask these kids, right, to be your best, right? Whatever it is at that point in time, right? We understand whether we're doing conditioning, right? We've already run a couple gassers, and when you're completely exhausted, but what's your best that you have to offer right now, right? We just want your best. We want to be competitors, right? You know, in order to be competitive, we have to give our best, you know, which is all we have, right? Be your best, compete whenever you can, and, you know, do your best, be your best, give your best.
Awesome. Love it. For Coach Steve Forker, I'm Mike Dewan. That's all here from South Central on the Region Sports Network, the only game in town. At American Testing Services, based in Hobart, Indiana, we specialize in NDT drone inspections and heat treatment services for local mills, fab shops, and facilities across the country. From Northwest Indiana to nationwide, we deliver precision, safety, and reliability. American Testing Services, America's trusted name in NDT.
With electrical services from Economy Electric Heating and Cooling, you can radiate the perfect amount of light and energy into your home. From rewiring and code upgrades to ceiling fans, lighting, security, and more, Economy Electric Heating and Cooling's trained electricians will make sure you can enjoy your home on full power all the time. For a free estimate on electrical work, call Economy Electric Heating and Cooling at 219-923-4441, and you can visit them on the web at 4ajobdoneright.com. That's the number 4ajobdoneright.com.
You ready? Let's go! Yeah! For those of you that want to know what we're all about, it's like this, yo. This is 10% luck, 20% skill, 15% concentrated power of will, 5% pleasure, 50% pain, and 100% reason to remember the name.
Your future starts
here!
At Blyce, we're used to having the athlete shop at our store.
Down, sit, put.
But sometimes they get carried away. Blyce, this is where the athlete shops.